Members of the City Council, City Manager Moon, city staff, and honored guests, my fellow Woodstockers. The Great American Experiment has always been a local story. The very idea of America was born in the hearts and the minds of patriots in taverns scattered across the countryside, very much like the breweries and backyards that we love here in Woodstock. The American story is that of a backwoods coalition of colonies reshaping themselves into a global beacon of liberty and opportunity. The American dream that anyone from any background can accomplish anything they set their minds to is instilled in each and every one of us. Now that's a magnificent heritage, but it is the perfect backdrop for a city unexpected. Council, we serve this city in a time of great significance. More than any time in our city's history, Woodstock's destiny will be that of our own choosing. In just these past 2 years together, we have conceived and cut ribbons on generational infrastructure, from roads and trails to parks and parking decks. We have designed and broken ground on a brand new skyline in our city with a best-in-class city center. We've entered into historic agreements and put the contentions of yesterday behind us, and we are working better with our neighbors and our county and our state and our region than we ever have before. In just the last 2 years, we have made the largest investments in both our public safety officers and in our parks and trails in our city's 127-year history. We've accomplished all of this and so much more while maintaining historically low tax rates and emerging among the only local governments in Georgia not to raise taxes last year. We stand a success story in a nation divided. While our sister cities see their crime rates rise, their storefronts shutter, and their children flee, we remain among the safest cities in Georgia, the most visited cities in the Southeast, and an example for downtown development and placemaking throughout the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today to report to you on the state of our city. I'm proud to report that the city today remains financially secure, economically robust, artistically vibrant, and the sought-after home of go-getters and dreamers throughout our region. The state of our city is optimistic, vibrant, and strong. We have worked hard to get here. This city unexpected boasts a story unexpected. As we embark on another new year, the world around us remains uncertain. Washington, D.C. continues to pass problems on to the next generation. The macroeconomy has been unpredictable for nearly half a decade, and I, for one, am not holding my breath for a predictable Washington or Wall Street anytime soon. Now, my oldest son is here today. Oliver, do me a favor. Stand up and say hello to everybody. Now, Oliver's sisters are at home. They're a little too young to sit through this long speech, but Oliver is 9 years old, and Ollie is one of those old souls that he makes me feel behind. I don't know what Oliver is going to grow up to do or to be, but I can tell you, kid, who you are and what you do today makes me very proud to be your dad. I spend a lot of time thinking about his future lately, though. And as we consider our next generation, we have to ask the question, what will be the state of their city? Objectively, today's young workers are making more money than their parents did at their age, and they are objectively poorer than their parents were at their age. The dogma that that every generation of America will be better off than the one before is coming into question. Now, our city can't solve every issue facing America today, but we've never been one to shy away from a challenge. And from the largest police pay increase in our city's history to the largest parks investment in a century to impossible growth boundary agreements, our city continues to solve the problems we face with record-breaking successes. Let today be the moment that we promise to one another that we will build a city recommitted to the premise that our children should inherit more from us and not less. We owe it to them. Now let's get it done. Last year, my administration laid out 3 main priorities for the coming years. We would continue to enhance our quality of life with the expansion of parks and trail systems. We would focus on recruiting high-paying jobs and businesses. And we would concentrate our development efforts toward making American home ownership accessible for more of our citizens. We made more progress in the last year on Parks and Trails expansions in Woodstock than any single year in our history. Nearly a decade ago, our council acquired and assembled more than 100 acres of land stretching from Trickham Road, winding along both shores of Little River, down to the Woodlands neighborhood on Highway 92. This expansive natural area more than doubled the amount of Woodstock-owned green space, and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and the City Council adopted plans to develop that new space into a newly envisioned Little River Park. Now, Little River Park will include miles of paved, boardwalked, and natural trails, playgrounds, pavilions, fishing, outdoor learning space, green space, disc golf, hiking trails, a park office, a visitor center, and it will tie into our master trail system. Guys, this is a best-in-class park offering unlike anything that exists north of the perimeter today. And just 2 years ago, it was just in the concept stage. And as the adage goes, vision without funding is hallucination. And for a time, that dream felt a lot like a dream. Now, in 2022, Council dedicated $8 million from our upcoming SPLOST to get us through phase 1 of the 3 phases it would take to get that park done. And last year, in my State of the City address, I told you that we were going to ensure that the Little River Park coming soon signs posted on Trickham Road would actually mean soon. So we came to you. We came to the voters with a referendum to issue bonds and make a $24 million investment in the completion of this park and the expansion of trails throughout the entirety of our city. Now, this referendum represented the largest single investment in Woodstock's parks in our city's entire history. Woodstock's voters approved that measure, but they approved it with an 87% majority. That's the largest majority I've ever seen on any referendum in Georgia on anything ever. On the same day, another major suburban city here in Metro Atlanta saw its voters reject their Parks Bond referendum. Our citizens were clear. The completion of this park and the expansion of trails throughout our city is a clear priority for the people of Woodstock. I'm proud to report to you that in just 2 years into this mission, we have all of the necessary funding allocated to take Little River Park through all 3 phases to completion. The project's in the design and engineering stage now, and we project completion of this project before the end of my term. On behalf of the generations of Woodstock and all those across North Georgia who are going to benefit from this incredible asset, I say thank you. Little River Park and the Parks Bond, though, were by no means our only major accomplishments toward my Parks and Trails objective this year. For any of you and the thousands of others who enjoy the Noonday Creek Trail that runs from Reformation Brewery down to Highway 92, you may know that Cherokee County and the city and Cobb County have been working together for 9 long years to connect that trail down to Cobb's Noonday Park, which will connect us into the Silver Comet Trail. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, that would mean that you could ride a bike or walk from downtown Woodstock to Alabama without ever leaving the trail system. I don't know why you would, but you could. Now, just before Christmas, GDOT granted final approvals, and our 3 jurisdictions put shovels in the ground. That project's no longer a concept. Construction is underway. And our first step toward becoming the regional trail hub for North Georgia is complete. That trail extension into Cobb County is being built as we speak, and it's projected to be completed by early '26. Now, in addition to that trail segment, we now have the funding dedicated, and we're allocating resources to more trails, like the Rubes Creek South and West Connectors, the Nice Road Trail, Arnold Mill Extension, and Little River Park Connectors, which will all tie the eastern portion of our city into the system. A new water trail, the long-awaited Buckhead Crossing Boardwalk, which will tie Deer Run into the city and county's trail systems. Y'all, we remain committed to delivering a best-in-class quality of life in Woodstock with world-class park offerings, and by establishing the new epicenter of Georgia's new trail system. All trails will lead to Woodstock. Now, I want you to help me thank him. I saw Mr. Brian Borden here, our Parks and Recreation Director. Thank you, sir, for you and your entire team for everything you did to get us to here and for all of the work we're about to throw on your plate. Thank you for it. Now, our Parks and Recreation team does so much for us. If you've been to any of our events, you've seen it. Thanks in many ways to their efforts, this city presents some of the best outdoor events and concert offerings in the region. If you haven't joined us for a summer concert series yet, you are missing out. That is a picture I took from the stage with more than 14,000 people in attendance at just one of our shows last year. This is a city that doesn't miss a party. And for a moment, I know many of you come to this speech specifically for, I'm excited to announce our 2024 lineup for the first time publicly. We're going to open the season on May 11th with heavy-hitting rock legends Night Ranger, whose anthem, Sister Christian, You Can Still Rock in America and Don't Tell Me You Love Me, will electrify downtown Woodstock in their 40th anniversary tour. The fun continues on June 8th when local sensations Guardians of the Jukebox, I know there's claps for that, take the stage with Black Lion Reggae. Tonic will be joined by fellow post-grunge icons The Verve Pipe at the July 13th concert. And in August, Who's Bad Power Pack performance of Michael Jackson's catalog will ignite the crowd in Northside Hospital Cherokee Amphitheater on August the 10th. And then finally, we will wrap up the season on September 14th with Eddie Montgomery of country duo Montgomery Gentry, who's sure to show Woodstock a good time. Guys, it's going to be a heck of a series. I know most of you have been to them before. If you haven't, you're missing out, and we'll look forward to getting out there and partying with you this year. Now, our city continues to rank among the most visited downtown destinations in the southeastern United States. Having been named just in the last year among Wallet Hub's best small cities in America, Southern Living's prettiest small towns in Georgia, and Homia's 10 best places to live in Georgia, Woodstock continues to attract people looking for an incredible place to live and raise a family from all around our nation. In 1990, our city had 4,500 residents. Today, we stand just shy of 40,000 Woodstockers, and we rank the 20th largest city in the state of Georgia. Multiplying our population by 10 times in the last 3 decades, I will admit, has come with challenges. But let's remember, as we do every year, problems with issues like traffic and parking are only present in places that people want to be. Our city today stands as a thriving community filled with life. So many other cities in our state and in our nation question their futures while their populations steadily decline. We will not try to solve congestion issues by closing the door behind us. Instead, we will continue to invest in our infrastructure while building a thriving city that welcomes those who enjoy our sense of community, our shared values, and our shared vision for the future. Now, in my first State of the City address, I showed off, and I saw him here today, our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Rob Hogan. Where are you, sir? There he is. Okay, first. Now I get to show him off. I showed off Mr. Rob Hogan and his hard work on establishing our city's first ever citywide comprehensive transportation plan. Now that plan changed our city's trajectory on infrastructure planning and execution, and it continues to place us leaps and bounds ahead of our sister jurisdictions. Then, in last year's speech, I shared the time that Mr. Hogan and I spent meeting with GDOT and so many others and working toward major infrastructure projects like the Ridgewalk Diverging Diamond Interchange at I-575, which, by the way, I'm proud to say is underway with a projected completion in 2026, and Nice Road improvements, which are well underway. We discussed how close we were at that time to realizing his completed vision of the hub transformation project downtown, which includes the new Town Lake Parkway roundabout and two-way traffic on Mill Street. Now, we completed that project by converting Mill Street into two-way traffic in May of last year, and if you had listened to our friends from out of town on Cherokee Connect for the week leading up to the change, you would have thought I burned your city to the ground. And it was impressive how fast that went away when people started to enjoy Main Street after that conversion. It turns out Mr. Hogan and the engineers actually knew what they were doing. Which, by the way, after a year and a half of pitching it, I was awfully relieved. Traffic has dramatically improved on 7 major arteries downtown, and the congestion that used to be caused by forcing visitors to make a double left turn on our busiest arteries to get back to the interstate is now just a problem of the past. Guys, these are just a few of the ways that Mr. Hogan's thought leadership has transformed our city for the better over his impressive career in Woodstock, which is why, with his retirement this last December, the City Council saw fit in announcing the naming of the Robbie Lee Hogan Pedestrian Plaza. Now, among the largest remaining causes of traffic in downtown, which will come as no surprise to most of you, are the large number of pedestrians crossing Main Street at multiple intersections, some of which are timed, some of which are lit, some of which are Frogger-style free-for-alls. And we are designing a conversion of the Elm Street corridor to a pedestrian plaza, which will align with our primary crosswalk on Main Street already. Once we complete that, we will diverge crossings to that central location. Now, this will create a significantly more pedestrian-safe and friendly experience on Main Street while simultaneously creating a more efficient, less white-knuckled driving experience through the center of our town. And guys, it's only fitting that a project that will improve both traffic flow and the quality of life for those enjoying our downtown will be named for Mr. Hogan. You've more than earned it, sir. Now, we've continued to make progress on my second major priority of building a stronger commercial base and recruiting new high-paying jobs into the city as well. Our city center development represents a major investment in both our city's infrastructure and the next generation of our city's economy. In April, we finally broke ground on this generational opportunity, and with the help of our private sector partners, we are well underway to completion. We've completed the extension of Chambers Street to Arnold Mill Road, and we cut the ribbon on Depot Square, a brand new public gathering space between the new development and our historic freight depot. In the heart of a project that brings tens of thousands of square feet of new office, new restaurants, new retail, a new hotel, conference space, and a 6th-floor parking deck with more than 600 spaces, it feels fitting that we would position a new community space between our city's oldest and newest structures. See, our 1897 charter set the freight depot as the legal center of our city. Depot Square sits between our city's historic center and our newest skyline-defining ambitions. The foundational structure is being laid for the public parking deck now, and the remainder of the private development now. The project is projected to complete with hotel construction wrapping up in just a few short years. The majority of the restaurants, retail, and office will complete in late 2025, and that parking deck is slated to open before the end of this calendar year. And as we continue recruiting new employers into our city, it has been so excited to see the interest in the city center's office space. The majority of that space has already been spoken for, and that part of the development hasn't even started yet, y'all. Our economy is growing like never before. Our city's business revenues have grown from $2.2 billion in 2017 to $3.7 billion in 2022. And we issued 419 new business licenses just last year, which is up from 350 the year before. Our city is continuing to attract new business, which will allow us to build a community that truly lives where we live. Our state was named the best state in which to do business for a record-breaking 10th year in a row, and we are intent on making sure that Woodstock's business, entrepreneurial, and commercial health is just as robust and exciting as the rest of our culture. Take it from me. Most of you know that I own a business right here in the heart of downtown. We do work for companies all around the world, and I can tell you from experience that a life where you can walk to work is one you want to lead. Without a doubt, it's the life your employees want to lead. They live or they want to live here. If you are one of the many Woodstockers who own a business in a county south of here because that was the place to be 2 decades ago, give me a shot. Coffee's on me. I've got my recruiting hat on because I'm telling you Woodstock is where you want that business to be. Now, for the past 2 years, the mayors of Cherokee County have elected me to represent our county on the Atlanta Regional Commission. The ARC represents 5.1 million people across 11 counties, allocating billions of dollars towards services spanning infrastructure, planning, senior services, homeland security, and so much more. This year, my colleagues elected Mayor Andre Dickens of Atlanta, the chairman of the ARC, and I'm very grateful that he and my colleagues have appointed me to serve as the vice chairman of the Atlanta Regional Commission. Now, this is the first time that a mayor from Cherokee County has served in this role, And it represents the growing voice that Woodstock and Cherokee County have in shaping the future of Metro Atlanta and the state of Georgia. Our CEO, Anna Roach, who joined us last year for this State of the City, has put forward a vision of one great region. And I've got to tell you, I'm excited to help cement Woodstock's future in that. Every year, the ARC conducts the Metro Atlanta Speaks survey. That study is conducted with Kennesaw State, and this year it asked 21 questions of 4,852 citizens across Metro Atlanta. For the second year in a row, respondents stated that the biggest challenge facing our region today is not traffic, it's crime. As crime rates have spiked in cities across the nation over the past several years, the simple truth is that our neighbors just don't feel as safe as they did a few years ago. In Woodstock, though, we continue to see our crime rates decline. From 2010 to 2020, our city saw a population increase from 23,000 to more than 35,000. In the same time period, we saw a reduction in crime in this city by 45%. Our city sits just shy of 40,000 residents now, and in the last year alone, we saw another 1.5% reduction in crime, despite the national pattern, and even as Woodstock becomes one of the most visited downtown destinations in Georgia. Our city continues to be safe, well-patrolled, and free from fear. And we owe this to the men and women of the Woodstock Police Department, who under the leadership of Chief Robert Jones and his command staff, do a fine job keeping our families safe each and every day. Please help me thank Woodstock's finest for their service to our city. Thank you, Chief. Now, with 57 sworn officer roles here in our city, when I came into office, we had a record 15 open officer vacancies. Across the country, departments were finding it more and more difficult to recruit new officers, and our department's vacancies exceeded 26% in 2022. Left unaddressed, that critical shortage would have had dire consequences on our city's safe atmosphere. So I want to take another opportunity to thank our council, because they stepped up last year with a record-setting 26% starting pay increase for Woodstock police officers, and I am thrilled to announce that in addition to showing our care for our brave officers, that move had its desired effect. Our department is fully staffed and at full force for the first time in more than 10 years. Congratulations, Chief. Congratulations, Department. Now, during last year's address, you helped me recognize and celebrate 3 decades of outstanding service for our now retired Fire Chief, Dave Sumas. Chief Sumas largely defined our modern fire department through the course of his career, and it was critically important that we found a leader who could follow in his exemplary record of service. Chief Shane Dobson joined us. Joined us in April from the Roswell Fire Department with an impressive 30-plus year career firefighting in departments all across Metro Atlanta. He served as a deputy chief in both Roswell and DeKalb County, and he began his career as a firefighter right here in Woodstock in 1993. He's already had a tremendous impact here in our department, and I am so excited we were able to bring a hometown hero back to lead Woodstock's bravest. During his first 9 months here as Woodstock's fire chief, he has worked with council to completely restructure the department. This included an overhaul of the ranking system and the establishment of new job descriptions for every employee to better align with industry standards, as well as the creation of a new community risk reduction division. The department also underwent an ISO evaluation, and we maintained our ISO rating of 1. If you don't remember from last year, that fire score ranks how prepared your fire department is to respond when needed. And with more than 50,000 departments nationwide being graded by ISO, there are only 450 with the best rating of 1. That places Woodstock in the top 1% of fire departments in the United States of America, better prepared than ever to protect our citizens. Please join me in not only welcoming Chief Dobson, but in thanking Woodstock's bravest. Welcome, Chief. Now, the third priority of my administration has been making the American dream of home ownership available to more of our citizens. As we look forward to the state of our city for the next generation, We must look back to find the success factors that gave our nation the largest middle class in world history. With housing prices skyrocketing, interest rates at generational highs, and a housing inventory more limited than ever, we are watching the erosion of the bedrock of our middle class. For the past 3 generations, every level of government, federal, state, and local, has joined the private sector to make home ownership a fundamental public policy priority. But why? Because wealth is rarely built on salary alone. Wealth is built in appreciating assets, the very cornerstone of capitalism itself. And here in the United States, we made a family's home the universally accessible appreciating asset. It became the model by which any family could build generational wealth and leave the next generation better off than themselves. The model worked. It built the largest middle class in the world, and in the same 75-year time period, we saw the longest period of geopolitical stability in modern history. When average Americans build wealth for themselves, we see political stability. And American stability is good for the world. And today, that's under threat. And that must be the primary priority for every jurisdiction in this country. As we discussed at the beginning, our young professionals are objectively making more money than their parents did at their age, and they are objectively poorer than their parents were. Despite their parents' insistence that they should have saved like they did, that just isn't true. The largest differentiator in most cases is that they bought a home. That is why the ownership-rentership ratio continues to be a priority focus for our city. If we want to build a financially sustainable city and nation, we need to build financially stable people. And we will do that here in Woodstock by ensuring the development that comes into our city concentrates on product that builds wealth for the families that live in it. Although starter homes in a city like Woodstock may not come with 2-acre plots and white picket fences anymore, a young professional or a new family in a condo or a townhome that they own is much more likely to see a financially independent and healthy future than those who are forced to rent. In our city, we will care less about how many walls a home shares than who owns that home. Is it building wealth for Woodstock families, or is it shipping Woodstock's families' wealth away? We will continue in Woodstock to build the economic engine that built modern America, and in doing so, we are going to leave our next generation better prepared for tomorrow. Last year, I asked you for your help in this endeavor. I asked you to reach out to your state legislators to ask them not to ban local governments from permitting housing products differently in their jurisdictions. I personally spent time with the Georgia Municipal Association last year speaking to legislators, and I really thought I got out of the Capitol, but I had to keep going back down. And we managed to stop that legislation last year, and this year's product is bringing local governments to the table. And rather than approaching it with a one-size-fits-all, we are crafting affordability measures that will work. To each of you who helped me in that endeavor, I thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Ake and I both serve on the GMA Board of Directors now, and we will continue to be sure that Woodstock's voice is heard throughout the state on issues like this. I also served on the ARC's Local Leadership Housing Action Committee, or for the worst acronym of the day, LHAC, to develop new policy concepts for affordable housing in our region. Guys, purchasing a home is hard. It should be hard. We should like that it's hard. Pride comes in achievement. But it has to be achievable. And here in Woodstock, we're going to continue to endeavor with our private sector partners to make it so. As our parents and our grandparents did for us, we owe it to the next generation. Now, our city's well positioned to tackle major issues like this that truly matter. From infrastructure and parks to jobs and housing, we can step up in moments that matter for one simple reason, because our city remains fiscally responsible and financially stable. After years of fiscally prudent public policy from our city council and city management, Woodstock remained the only local government that I'm aware of in the entire state of Georgia not to raise your property taxes in 2023. I'm proud of that. While maintaining historically low tax rates, our city has more than doubled our unassigned general fund balance in the last 2 years. That's our savings. Obviously, these are stellar fiscal outcomes. But in December, we saw a truly extraordinary win when both Moody's and S&P increased Woodstock's credit rating to AA+. According to the credit agencies, improving economic metrics, sustained reserve levels, and an improving debt profile were just a few of the positive indicators that make the financial world bullish on Woodstock. Our city now sits just one level shy of having a perfect credit rating, which represents real savings for each of you as our taxpayers. And it exemplifies excellent fiscal stewardship. To our council, to our city leadership, and especially, I saw our CFO, Mr. Ron Shelby. I think he might be hiding in the back. I saw him earlier. I want to say thank you for building a strong financial foundation upon which we can do the work of our citizens. And we really do owe them a thank you for that. Now, our city leadership just returned from our annual retreat this week. During several days of policy discussions and spending time with the incredible men and women who've built this incredible place we live, our recently promoted Deputy City Manager, Cody Thigpen, led the group of elected officials and staff leadership in an exercise to redefine our city's mission and vision statements. After a few days of exploring what makes Woodstock, Woodstock, and why our team, residents, and business owners are so motivated to make it better each and every day, here's where we ended. Our city's mission: we are building a city that feels like home. Whether you crave that safe feeling that comes with letting your 5-year-old run a few steps ahead of you on the sidewalk in a town where you know that any of your neighbors would help them brush off a scraped knee, or the comfort of a song you remember streaming out of your favorite restaurant, or just the feeling under your feet of the grass on the Elm Street Green where your friends were married in a small ceremony, your favorite new band played to a sold-out show, and your church sang Silent Night over their candles. Woodstock ranks among the largest cities in Georgia, and we still deliver that know it when you feel it feeling of home. But our vision is to boldly pursue what's next to build a thriving community. What's next? Our city is a challenger brand. We are Alpharetta's hot cousin and the arts capital of North Georgia. We are the railroad stop from the 1800s that is now the largest city in Georgia's 7th largest county. We will raise up best-in-class parks and cutting-edge infrastructure to ensure the quality of life in Woodstock remains unrivaled. We will call on dreamers and job creators from across our region to build their businesses here. We will engage the largest wealth-generating mechanism in human history, home ownership, to create a strong future and a financially free people. We will be a city that does not stop at reflecting on the state of our city, but leans forward to imagine the state of our children's city. We will relentlessly and boldly pursue what's next in the story of our home, because this incredible narrative began long before us, and it will undoubtedly live beyond us. The decisions we make and the stories we tell will shape this place for those who come after. And our bold, collaborative, authentic City Unexpected will surely rise to the challenge. As we claim our wins and we look to the future, there's one question we ask: what's next? All right.